Lawmakers in the Oregon House passed a bill that would recriminalize hard drugs in the state. House Bill 4002 aims at reversing certain aspects of voter-approved Measure 110. The bill would make having a small amount of drugs a misdemeanor. There is the potential of jail time, but only if probation is violated. Right now, Measure 110 decriminalizes small drug possession, small amounts. If caught, people are encouraged to enter treatment programs instead of facing charges and possible jail time. House Bill 4002 would also give law enforcement officers the power to choose whether to send someone into a treatment program. A response on the passage of this bill has been mixed. The Coalition to Fix and Improve Ballot Measure 110 did send us this statement saying, quote, "This legislation is just the first step to save lives, rescue communities, and restore Oregon's national reputation tattered by drug decriminalization." But the coalition members of Oregonians for Safety and Recovery responded by saying, quote, "The Oregon House of Representatives made an error that will result in the lifelong harm to countless counties. They voted for a bill that will increase racial disparities in Oregon and disparities between counties, allow police and prosecutors to decide who gets treatment and who gets jail, convict thousands more people for personal possession, and overwhelm the court system while failing to address the state's addiction crisis." The bill now moves to the Senate for consideration.